One of the biggest questions we get from creators of successful crowdfunding campaigns is, what comes next? Especially for first-time creators. The process of building a business on the success of a completed campaign can feel intimidating, but it doesn't have to. Hi, I'm Roy Morjean, president and co-founder of Inventus Partners. We help entrepreneurs with ideas launch new products and scale their businesses every single day. Today, I'm here with Emily Sawyer, our director of e-commerce, to talk about the exciting and sometimes overwhelming process of transitioning from a successful crowdfunding campaign to a thriving e-commerce business. Hi, Emily.
Hey, Roy.
So, Emily, given your experience in helping over 1,000 crowdfunding campaigns over the past 4 years, you're the perfect expert to talk about this transition. So, let's just say that I'm a creator of a campaign who just ended my successful crowdfunding campaign. What happens next?
Well, it's not outlined. You have a couple options. There's an option to go and continue collecting pre-orders. You could go into e-commerce, you can go to Amazon. It depends on what your goals are.
Okay, so let's say that work is happening. What's next?
You have a couple options. If you're ready to go to e-commerce, you can, especially for your fulfilling orders. That's a great option. You can also move into Indiegogo's InDemand platform, which is another way to collect pre-orders through crowdfunding if you're not quite ready to start fulfilling rewards and shipping on demand and go traditional e-commerce. And there's also the option to go onto Amazon. It just depends, again, what your goals are.
So it's not as simple as some may seem, right? It sounds like creators have a few different options there after their successful crowdfunding campaign.
Absolutely. There are plenty of options. It just depends on what you're equipped to do.
So it's not as simple as building an e-commerce store and flipping on a switch.
It's not. It takes a lot of willpower and work to launch an e-commerce site. It's not as simple as literally building a site and flipping a switch. You have to be ready with your shipping partners. You have to have inventory. You have to have marketing efforts ready to go. So no, definitely not as simple as flipping a switch.
So I know with a lot of our clients, they transition over to Indiegogo InDemand. Can you give the audience a little bit of insights on what that is?
Sure. InDemand is a pretty seamless transition after the Kickstarter campaign is over. It allows you to continue collecting pre-orders, like I said, through crowdfunding. There's no specific end date, which is pretty nice because you can just run it until you're ready to launch e-commerce. And generally, Indiegogo is open to some promotions and different things like that that will help you continue collecting pre-orders and generating new customers.
So now that we've touched on this, with Indiegogo not having a deadline necessarily, what should creators be doing during this Indiegogo in-demand phase?
If they're planning on launching on e-commerce or Amazon or making a business of their crowdfunding campaign, they should be ready and they should have already known what those steps should be. It's important when you launch on Kickstarter that not only you're focusing on the Kickstarter campaign, but you're looking ahead to next steps, because if you're not making those plans, then you're not going to have anything to do post-campaign besides fulfilling. So if you're looking to make a real business, it's important to know that you're going to move to Indiegogo InDemand, and you should know a time period that you're going to stay on the platform regardless, because there's no end date. That's not important publicly, but have goals and know that we're going to try to launch our e-commerce site by November 15th and try to stick to those goals as much as possible.
So what about those businesses that potentially don't want to go on InDemand because the fees are too high or whatever their other reasons are? What are some of the other options for them?
I would focus a lot of work on fulfilling campaign rewards. I would try to get testimonials and reviews from those customers from your Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign. And I would build up an e-commerce website in the meantime. While you're focusing on fulfilling, I would put the product out there elsewhere besides crowdfunding, so that anyone that maybe isn't familiar with crowdfunding or wasn't comfortable backing a crowdfunding campaign has the opportunity to buy your product at a later date.
So let's talk about transitioning into e-commerce. What are some of the things that business owners need to be focusing on?
They need to be focused on their messaging and branding. If your branding and messaging was really specific to crowdfunding previously, it probably needs to be redone. I would say it's important to make sure that you have plenty of inventory, because in e-commerce, you really never know how it's going to go right when you start. It does take time to build a successful e-commerce site. You're going to launch with something great, but it's very likely that you're going to need to make changes and optimize that site as you have learnings. So I would say focus on securing a partner or a team that can do that heavy lifting for you while you're focusing on fulfilling those rewards.
So I know business owners wear so many different hats. Choosing the right e-commerce platform seems like one of those things that can take a long drawn out process.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the favorites that we like to use with our clients when we transition them from crowdfunding to e-commerce.
We typically recommend Shopify to the majority of our customers. There are other options like WordPress, WooCommerce, etc. I like Shopify because it's easy to customize. There are plenty of plugins and apps you can use that help you along the way, make things easier and automate things, which is awesome always. But also the other platforms that are out there are great. In addition, it just kind of depends on exactly what you want to do with your website. I like Shopify too because you always have the option. It's very user friendly. So someone that maybe isn't a developer or a designer can easily go in and make changes. Simple changes. Obviously, you can't completely recode a website as a crowdfunding creator normally, depending on what your career is. But I like it because it's customizable, it's easy to use, and the reporting itself is really comprehensive in the sense that you can click a button and see all of your sales, which personally I really enjoy.
Nice. Lots of positives there with Shopify. Any drawbacks using their platform?
There can be. If you're wanting to custom code an entire page, it gets a little bit difficult because, like I said, it's really user friendly. We do it all the time, so it's not difficult for us, but for someone that maybe doesn't have a marketing partner and they don't have experience coding, that's kind of when you get into needing other platforms. And sometimes there are plugins for Shopify that aren't so great and they can be buggy, which we have solutions for, but not everyone does. So sometimes WooCommerce, WordPress, sometimes those customization, really specific things are more appropriate.
So we've got our platform, we're gonna put it on Shopify. What's next?
You need to start marketing. It's really important to get your product out there, regardless that you have an email list, likely from crowdfunding. Maybe it's just family and friends. It's important to make that list bigger. It's important to start running ads. It's important to start sending emails and keeping those audiences warm. And like I said earlier, it's important to make optimizations to your website. We recommend all of our clients install Hotjar so that we can look at where customers are scrolling and what their activity is. And if it's not resonating with the audiences that you're targeting, there are ways to make optimizations to hopefully make those results better.
So we've built it in the background, we've got it in test mode, we've got all of our plugins working, then we launch it, right? So what happens after we launch it?
After you launch it, there should be orders coming in. So it takes a lot of build up, and it's kind of like a launch, but it's not the same as a crowdfunding launch where you can suddenly see thousands of dollars coming in. We work really hard to make sure that everything is optimized and working appropriately and that orders are going out as they come in. It's important that that happens. So not only do creators need to make sure that they have inventory, but they need to be shipping as the orders come in. Like I mentioned, it does take time to build up a successful e-commerce site, so I wouldn't anticipate the thousands coming in on a daily basis. And that's kind of where marketing comes in, is you have the opportunity to run customers through a funnel and educate them about your product, make them aware if they previously weren't, and then kind of get their interest piqued in a way that makes them want to buy.
Amazing. Thank you, Emily, for walking us through transitioning from a successful crowdfunding campaign to e-commerce.
Absolutely, thank you.
If you guys are overwhelmed at the prospect of doing all of this alone, don't worry, reach out to us. We would love to help you build a successful business online. We've helped thousands of startups like yours. If you found this info in this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to our channel, click the buttons below, check out our website, inventuspartners.com, for all the additional resources. See you guys next time.